All right, so today we're going to be talking about the latest update for the Mavic Air 2. This allows you to use your smart controller with the Mavic Air 2, and I think it's one of the most anticipated updates that we've wanted for the Mavic Air 2. So without further wait, let's get into it. What's good, everybody? Ken here, you're watching Original Dobo. Today I'm going to talk about the latest update for the Mavic Air 2, also talk about some issues that I ran into while I was trying to update and bind the aircraft to the smart controller. So if you're having problems with this, hopefully this will help you out as well. So firstly, the version that you are looking for will be version 1.00.0820. It was released on September 22nd, 2020. The DJI Go 4 app is going to be brought up to 4.3.36. Pilot app will be brought up to 1.8.0. The Fly application will now read 1.1.6, and you will need DJI Assistant 2 for Mavic version 2.0.14. Now, if you try to install this via the over-the-air on your smart controller, you may find that it's getting stuck at 99%. So for this to work as effective as possible, please download the DJI Assistant. Do not do this over the air. The other thing to note that this application and update is pretty large, and it does require at least 3 gigs of available space on your smart controller. So if you don't have 3 gigs of space available, you'll either need to factory reset your device or clear enough of room out to be able to download this. This was one of the problems that I had, and it kept freezing at 99%, never completing. A simple factory reset of my smart controller, which isn't a really big thing. Unless you have multiple aircrafts, then it can be a bit of a problem. But just having a Mavic Air 2 and a Mavic 2 Pro is not a big deal. Factory reset gave me enough of space to be able to download this update. Now, the update takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. The easiest way to do this is to download it and just walk away so you don't accidentally abruptly stop the update in the whole process of things. So once you get the download, update it, and you have your smart controller on the latest version, simply power on your smart controller and power on your Mavic Air 2. Now, this is where I was a little bit confused, and I guess maybe if there was instructions, I didn't follow them or I wasn't paying attention. So one of the ways that I tried binding this was hit the link button and then hit the bind button on the controller. That doesn't work. The way you're going to need to bind this aircraft is you're either going to need to press the power button and hold the link button first on your Mavic Air 2 and then your smart controller. If you try to use controller first, it's probably not going to bind. The alternative method to this is you can go into settings and go under aircraft management and just simply click the plus icon to add a new device, select Mavic 2, and it'll put the device in bind mode. If you do it this way, it does work, and it works a lot quicker than if you try to go through the application. Don't try to go through the DJI Fly app because it will not bind to your craft. Once it's bound, you'll see that the Mavic Air 2 is green, and you'll notice that your lights are now present, and you can actually just swap over to it. So now I'm swapping over to this, and you can see that my lights are now green. And on my screen, I should get, let's see if I got it. Yep, I am able to see myself in the screen. So there you go. So now we're able to bind. So basically everything you know and love about the Mavic Air 2 is here on the smart controller. It still uses the Fly app. Don't think you're going to be able to use DJI Go because that's not the case. It's still going to use the Fly app, but basically everything is like you would expect. And honestly, it's a pretty good experience. And I think that for me, this works really well. You can turn on obstacle avoidance. You can switch over to sport mode, tripod, all from the toggle switch here, which is pretty darn cool. And again, you also have a D-pad now, so you get more buttons than you had with the Mavic Air 2 controller right out of the gate. And also you now have possibly better range. We will have to test that. I was not a big fan of the range that I was getting out of the Mavic Air 2 initially. So hopefully having the smart controller, that will help. Also, it's just nice to just have one unit versus having a phone and a controller, and I'm much more of a fan of the ergonomics, and having just one controller to rule them all makes a lot of sense. So there you go. Be patient, download the update, and that's really the only enhancements that the update brings. There isn't anything new that I've seen. Now, another problem that I did notice after updating to this, I did get a battery update on the Air 2, and trying to update the batteries with the smart controller, I kept getting an error, but I just ended up bypassing that. So hopefully that's just a glitch and something that DJI will address. But if you have issues updating your batteries, just hit skip on that. It's not going to prevent you from flying your quad. It should just operate just normal. A lot of times battery updates are just sort of incremental things. I'm not telling you to totally ignore that by any means, but if it is an issue, just try to update it with your phone and your old controller, and that should work just fine. So hopefully this video helps you, and hopefully it's useful to being able to bypass some of the issues that I've seen with this quad. Thanks for watching. Stay original.